People get caught off guard like, wait a minute, how can I haven't even lost the property yet? How can they come in here and take out over my rents and take over my property? And how can they do all this? How can you still own a property, but then the lender forcibly take control over operations? Well, it's called receivership. And a bunch of people that are in foreclosure with commercial properties are learning that right now. My name is Steve Peterson with Infinity Investments. And on our YouTube channel, on my videos, we talk all things commercial real estate and investment real estate. Today's video, we're going to talk about what is receivership and how does that relate to the foreclosure process. First of all, today is May 3rd, 2023, and this Sunday, First Republic Bank was just sold to JP Chase. And the headlines came out on Friday that First Republic was going to be under receivership, was going to be placed under receivership by FDIC if a deal was not reached. Fortunately for everybody, a deal was reached, especially for people who have money in the bank with First Republic. Receivership was avoided and the property got sold, the business got sold, the bank got sold to JP Chase. The 8,000-pound gorilla just got a little bit heavier. But that I've been hearing this question a lot this week. Well, what exactly is receivership, right? And so I came up in a great, recession in that period of time. So I got a lot of experience in that. And I just saw a couple properties go into receivership. And so let me give you a definition. Now, this is a definition from the internet. This is not my definition. This is Investopedia. Receivership is a court-appointed tool that can assist creditors in recovering funds in default and can help troubled companies avoid bankruptcy, right? Like First Republic was going to happen. Now, what does that mean for properties? Well, and this is really for commercial properties, 5+ unit apartment buildings and other commercial properties. Residential is different. But for commercial properties, many of the promissory notes have what's called an assignment of rents clause within the promissory note. And essentially what that assignment of rent clause is saying is that, hey, you don't make your payments, you go into default, we have the right to hire a receiver, put the property in receivership essentially, and collect those rents prior to, this is the big thing here, prior to foreclosure. So how can that happen? And what does that mean? All right. And essentially this is what that means, right? So you let's say you own a building. Okay. You stop making payments. Maybe in Oakland, say you own a building in Oakland. It was a rent moratorium. It was an eviction moratorium. People stop paying you rent. All right. Now you can't make your mortgage payment. By the way, happening to a bunch of people right now. Bank doesn't have a foreclosure moratorium anymore, so they can proceed with foreclosure. So first thing they do, they file notice of default. There's a 90-day in California. There's a 90-day notice of default period. In that time, the lender, and this is similar to in other states as well, the lender, because of the assignment of rents clause in your promissory note, has the right, go to court and file for a receivership. And what they're essentially saying is, look, based on this clause, we can appoint a receiver to begin collecting rents on our behalf, the lender, before even we have taken the property back in foreclosure. People get caught off guard like, wait a minute, I haven't even lost the property yet? How can they come in here and take out over my rents and take over my property? And how can they do all this? And it seems gangster. I'm gonna just keep it real. That's what it seems like, because it is. And if you have a commercial loan, you probably have the assignment of rents clause somewhere in that promissory note, right? Somewhere associated with that deed of trust, there's an assignment of rent clause. They have that ability. Now, it costs money. They really don't want to do this, but they will do this when they feel like, look, maybe the property's not being run correctly and the property's out of control. And usually you'll see this when they probably send somebody about a property and they say, look, this property's out of control. There's no money coming in. There's, boards in the windows. There's people hanging out everywhere. It's just out of control. We not really trying to own this asset the way it is. Let's put that receiver in place, get control of the property, get rents coming in. Then they foreclose, then that way they can have an asset that is somewhat marketable for sale, right? And you, as it says you own this property, you just like, wait, I didn't even lose the property. How did they come in and do this, right? And so that is what the lender's rights are under the assignment of rent clause and that promissory note, to be able to come after the property and start collecting rents before you lose it in foreclosure, right? And that's how does that, what's the whole point of this, Steve? Right? Well, so if you're a real estate investor out there looking for deals, you want to try to find properties that are in receivership. Properties, businesses, companies, banks that are in receivership, because now the seller is pretty motivated to make a deal. Because they haven't lost the property yet. They can still sell the property. They can still make money. They can still, you can come and save the day. Now, if it's a short sale, maybe not. But a lot of times people do have, the difference about this economic shift in the Great Recession is people have equity, man. The market has not dropped off a 70% cliff that I'm aware of in any market that I'm aware of, right? It's definitely not the case here. So people have equity, right? People also have had to qualify for loans, which means they probably have to put a good amount of money down so they have something to fight for, right? So in properties in receivership are a great time. That's a great time for somebody to come along and negotiate a deal that could work well. You got a motivated seller, but you also have a motivated lender, right? And if they do take back the property, right, now that property is theirs and they probably do not want that property. So you could be able to strike a deal. And if you're the person who gets your property get put in receivership, it's not over. You still have a chance to rectify the situation. You still have a chance to get out and make some money. You still have a chance, but it's very difficult. So you want to try to avoid, if you go into foreclosure, I'll give you 2 tips for people who might be facing this, right? Because a lot of people that's facing this. You want to communicate with your lender. You want to let them know you're a responsible landlord. You got a eviction moratorium. People, like for instance, that's what happened to, or COVID impacted you, or something happened that, look, we're going to figure this situation out. We're going to get in there. I'm going to be responsible, so on and so forth. You don't want them if they think you lost control over the property is when they're going to do this, right? So you want to make sure if you're in that situation that you communicate with your lender, that you try to work something out, because they don't all do this. They have the right to do it. It costs a lot of money. It's a pain in the ass for them. So they really don't want to do it. So if you can communicate them, hopefully you can work something out. Now, if you're an investor and you're looking for deals, you're trying to make things happen, and you're tracking foreclosures, and when you're reaching out to receivers, you want to find properties that are in this, and then you want to look for situations to where, okay, you can find a reason as to why that seller would want to deal with you, right? Obviously, a big one is that you can get them some money at the close of escrow. Maybe not the $20 million that they was thinking about for their duplex or their 5-unit building, whatever it is. Sellers always want more than it's worth. But you can bring them something that gets them something, and they can get the monkey off their back, and they can get some kind of cash at close. Or maybe they could carry a note. Maybe you get enough cash to the table to pay off the bank, get it out of receivership. Mr. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, take your equity in the form of a note. Let me work my magic. Get the property up in value, refinance you out 2 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, whatever it is. That way they have something to look forward to, right? Now, the receiver, the company, it's usually these companies, if it's in commercial real estate, they have to have a property management element to them because they managing the property, they managing the asset. Look, they want to keep the train rolling, so you got to be able to work with them as well, if to where it makes some financial sense for them. If they get involved, they are in there to get the control of the property. And maybe you can work out a deal where they can stay on for a couple months until you get, things in order, or you can figure something out where it's a win-win for them and for you. And then finally, the lender. The lender in these situations, sometimes the lenders want to sell the note. The lenders know that at some point, when it goes to receivership, they're probably going to have to take the property back. They don't necessarily want to do that, so they're looking for options. So this is an opportune time for you to reach out to a seller or owner of a property, the receivers, the lenders, and try to make a deal work, all right? This is something I think we're going to see more about. I got asked a question about receivership twice this week, so that's why I'm doing this video, because of the whole First Republic. I'm in the Bay Area, man. I know clients got money with First Republic and everything. They was nervous. Luckily, JP Morgan stepped in, but if they were going to be in receivership, that was going to be a problem, man. So luckily that didn't happen, but it is beginning to happen now with commercial properties, apartment buildings, where the lenders are stepping in to take over control. So if you're in that situation as a property owner, take the advice I was saying, be responsible, communicate with your lender, let them know that you got control of the property, even if people ain't paying you. Let them know it's not a health and safety issue, that you got command, you got control, and you're going to communicate. If you're an investor looking for deals, or a broker's agent, whatever, time to communicate with the seller. You can also talk to receivers. They can't negotiate a deal, but they can communicate information if you can't get in contact with the seller. And then you want to talk to the lender. Lender might be willing to sell a note. Lender might be willing to work out a deal. They really don't want the property. If they do take it back, now they are the seller. So you can work these deals out. My thing right where I'm doing a lot of foreclosure content because I see what's going on. I came up I started this company in 09, Infinity Investments. I was able to, being real young in the game, work out solutions to be able to solve problems, to be able to start a company in a crazy period of time. And I'm just drawing on some of those experiences to bring that to the table now to solve some problems, get some deals done, and hopefully deliver some quality content for y'all. So if this is helpful, go on and subscribe, share it, like it, tap in to the next video. Deuces.